Crimson Desert just got some exciting news, and the one massive dark cloud hanging over this game might have actually been cleared. For the last year, every single time we saw new footage of this game, the community was asking the same questions. How is the optimization? There's no way this game runs well on console, right? All of the explosions, the NPC, the massive fights that you actually get in this game, the seamless open world, it all looks way too good to be true. But that might be changing because we have some concrete evidence that Pearl Abyss might actually pull this game off. So today we're going to talk about the performance. We also have some updates regarding the cast that has officially been revealed. And with the crazy amount of hype that this game is getting, we are going to talk about the overall expectations. We have a lot to cover. Check the chapters for easy viewing, and let's dive in. Okay, so let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that is the performance. Since the early days of the initial reveal, one of the biggest hurdles that Crimson Desert has had is in regards to the overall performance of the game. We've all been burned so many times by next-gen open world games that promise the world, they promise everything, literally the freaking kitchen sink, but then they release and it turns out that it's a stuttery, unplayable 30 FPS mess at launch. We've all lived through the disastrous launch of Cyberpunk 2077, especially those of you that are on older hardware. We lived through Dragon's Dogma 2 dropping to 20 FPS the moment you walked into a crowded area. When a game promises a combat system like Crimson Desert, where there's literal MMA style combat where you can drop kick, use a grappling hook for a movement, and then immediately switch to your sword, the frame rate is an absolute requirement. You lagging and dropping frames every time a spell goes off, or you shoot something, or you try to do like a cool move and then the game lags, like that right there is just not going to work well. This has been the community's #1 concern. Is the new Black Space engine, the proprietary engine from Pearl Abyss, actually capable of handling this level of environmental destruction, weather effects, and the AI density without completely melting our machines? Well, we might have an answer, and it's coming straight from the Xbox Crimson Desert store page that is officially live right now. If you actually go to the listing page, you will see some very spicy tags in there that are freaking awesome. According to the official listing, the game supports 4K Ultra HD and features a 60 FPS plus capability. So let me repeat that one more time: 4K Ultra HD and 60 FPS plus. Now we have to kind of dive into some of the specifics because the question kind of remains, are they talking about like 4K Ultra HD that's like upscaled? Will it be 1080p and then they just upscale it using FSR, so it's actually like the 4K, which is not really full 3840 by 2160? We don't really know at this point. I'm sure Digital Foundry will probably find out some way, so I'll leave the experts to do that, but the fact that it says 60 FPS plus is pretty awesome news. Now this implies that the game won't just be hard locked at 60 FPS. It might be that there is an uncapped frame rate for displays that support VRR or 120 Hertz monitors. Now one thing that we do have to clarify whenever it comes to the tag 60 FPS plus, whenever they say 60 FPS plus, I'm guessing that the plus will be with a performance mode that is something that is like a lower resolution but a higher frame rate. Again, we don't know the full details regarding the performance and the different modes and stuff. We'll have to wait for that closer to launch. But the part that I'm really curious about is regarding the overall engine and whether or not this game will be CPU bound. The fact that they have this game running at 60 kind of has me to believe that that might not be the case. Like, this might not be a situation where the CPU is fully bottlenecked because of all of the crazy stuff that are happening, the AI routines and all of the physics objects, the destruction, and just so many other things will completely melt the CPU. Now for PlayStation players, the news gets even better. We know for a fact that we're getting a PS5 Pro Enhanced patch. We've known that for a while, which that also bodes well for the overall performance on the PlayStation platform. Right now, Pearl Abyss is all hands on deck with the optimization and performance, so as we get closer to launch, we were told that we should have some information regarding the various modes on the consoles. But what if you're not on a console and you're on the PC? Well, that news is just as exciting in my opinion. If you guys watched my last video, we mentioned that the PC specs that were released paint an incredibly good picture about the game being highly optimized. The minimum requirements are surprisingly reasonable. They don't require a freaking RTX 4090 just to get out of the starting area. But the ultimate proof of this game's scalability on the various machines is Crimson Desert will be available on M1 MacBooks and above. Let's unpack that a little bit. Gaming on Macs are usually an afterthought for AAA developers. Most studios don't even bother, and the fact that Pearl Abyss has successfully ported a physics-heavy, massive open-world game, and they made it run on the Mac architecture is freaking crazy. Now, the M1 chip is powerful. I'm not gonna hate on that at all, but a Mac is completely different in terms of the way that they're built compared to traditional gaming PCs. If the Black Space engine can run a massive game this smoothly on a laptop chip, it tells me that the scalability of this engine was a massive focus. At the end of the day, this is proprietary proprietary technology. Pearl Abyss are the ones who develop the Black Space engine, so obviously they're going to want to make sure that this thing will be able to run on whatever device they want. So that way they can use it to develop, mobile games and, do ports for games for mobile, release their full games on a freaking M1 Mac. I'm just excited to see the success of another engine in the market, like something that isn't Unreal, something that isn't Unity. But of course, it's worth it to just kind of wait and see with our own eyes, play the game ourselves. Now, we won't have to wait long to hear it from other people's opinions. Various press and creators will be playing the game very soon at a preview event. So we should get a pretty big influx of, opinions and a bunch of gameplay. And I look forward to watching as much content as possible. Okay, shifting gears from the technical side to the narrative side of this game. And that is, we got news regarding the cast that have been revealed. We knew that the story would be a major focus with this game, replacing the old MMO structure with the single player narrative. And the actors that they brought on seem pretty good. So first and foremost, we have Anka, who is played by Stuart Scudamore. Now, he is known for playing Rictus in Arcane on Netflix. Next, we have the leading man himself, Cliff McDuff, and Cliff is going to be played by the legendary Alec Newman. Now, who is Alec Newman, you might ask? Well, he is the one who played Adam Smasher in Cyberpunk 2077. And then, of course, the final major casting announcement is for the character named Damienne, which Damienne is being played by Rebecca Hansen, who is known for her work as the English voice of Eve in Stellar Blade. So we're getting both Adam Smasher and Eve from Stellar Blade in the same crew. That sounds pretty awesome to me, in my opinion. Now, we also got confirmation that every voice in the game will be voiced by a real human, which is great. But now let's shift gears and talk about the overall expectations and the hype for this game. Now, obviously, the hype is insanely big for Crimson Desert. It is easily my most anticipated game of the year so far. Granted, it comes out next month, so it's kind of easy to be that. The combat looks great. It looks like it's a Zelda-like or Breath of the Wild-like game, which if you guys have watched the channel for a while, you know how much I love Zelda. Like, in the fact that this game looks like it's inspired by Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, that is music to my ears. Like, this is going to be certified my crap. Like, this is my game. But with all the hype and anticipation for this game releasing, I do think it's worth taking a step back and just kind of setting our expectations. Because let's be real for a second, from what we've seen so far, it looks amazing, but just don't go in with the expectations that this will be a flawless, bug-free masterpiece on day one. Look at how much hype there was with Cyberpunk 2077. That game was insanely hyped. We should have seen them, writing on the wall with all of the delays. But alas, we went into that game blinders on with the hype through the roof, and a lot of people were burned and it left a sour taste in their mouth. Now, we do live in an era where things are either insanely peak or they're just so awful that it's just completely abhorrent, and there's no in between. And because of that, it's left a lot of people like either deciding to like something or just completely hating on it. So I would recommend going in with a measured approach. Like, sure, is Crimson Desert massive? Does it look incredibly complex? Are there a ton of features? Sure, yes. But then there's obviously the concern about like feature creep, where they add so many things that it's just incredibly ambitious, but there's no depth. We obviously don't know yet. All we've seen is what they've shown us for the most part. My guess is there's probably going to be some jank. There's probably going to be bugs. It is a brand new engine that they're using. It's proprietary engine. Do I want the game to be perfect and have like zero jank and just be the best thing since sliced bread? Sure, of course. But that is putting this game on such a high pedestal that is really unfair to Pearl Abyss. They've shown us what they've shown us, and everything else, like all of the hype and stuff like that, is just kind of community driven, which I let myself get hyped as well. Like, I am part of the problem for sure. Now, the 60 FPS confirmation on the Xbox store page is a massive relief, but don't expect the game to be flawless. Like I said, it's an open world game. There will probably be a little bit of jank, but go into the experience being cautiously optimistic. Leave yourself some room to be impressed and not completely disappointed. But that's going to wrap it up with this video. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe with your noties on, and until next time, this has been Wes, and I'll talk to you guys again soon.